Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. And I have been watching parts of the Karen Read trial and I'm getting all the excerpts. Yes, I do know what's going on in the trial. Uh, and I keep hearing this when I put up commentary. I put up commentary on how I thought this whole concept of the defense saying, oh, you know, everything's to do with the front lawn, that John O'Keefe was tossed onto the front lawn. I thought it was ridiculous. I did another video where I said, the reason they have to have the conspiracy theory is that they need to explain away all the evidence. And here's what I get a lot of times in response. But the defense doesn't have to prove anything. Now, I've heard this on other channels as well. I've even heard this from attorneys, but the defense doesn't have to prove anything. This is the dumbest statement that keeps going around and is absolutely not true. If the defense didn't have to prove anything, and as everybody points out, it's up to the state, up to the prosecution to prove its case. That's the only thing that matters, that the prosecution has to prove its case. Okay, if that's true, why do we even have a defense? Why don't we have a courtroom where the jury is sitting there, the prosecution comes in, presents the case, and the jury decides that the case is good enough or if there's reasonable doubt? Boom, don't need a defense, do we? All right, why do we need a defense? We need a defense because they have to prove that the prosecution's case is not good enough. That's what they have to do. They have to prove that. They have to prove the evidence presented by the prosecution is not to be believed or is not up to par or does not prove that Karen Read hit her boyfriend with her vehicle and drove away. The defense has to disprove the proof of the prosecution. And you can say they have to disprove or they have to prove. It doesn't make. You can go with either one of those. It's the same thing. In disproving the prosecution's theory, they are proving that it's not good enough and there's reasonable doubt. So the defense must prove things. And that is why they're doing what they are doing. They are trying to prove that there is no evidence putting Karen Read's vehicle hitting John O'Keefe's body. That's one of the things they're trying to prove. How are they trying to prove that? By saying his body wasn't there after she drove away, that he went into the house and his body was tossed out later. They're trying to prove that by saying the evidence has been planted, because otherwise, why would the evidence of a broken taillight be there? They're even trying to prove that somebody, one of the police, I suppose, smashed up Karen's taillight someplace else and then brought those pieces back. They're trying to prove that. They're trying to prove that John O'Keefe actually went into the house. How are they trying to prove that? They're trying to prove it by getting all these witnesses on the stand and trying to get them to say he entered the house. And when none of them have said that, they're trying to prove that every one of those witnesses are liars. They're trying to prove that there was a plan in action back at the bar, because we got to the two Bryans like play fighting. They call it practice fighting for the later ambush. They're trying to prove that there was some that was evidence of a future plan, as if two seasoned guys who can throw a punch need to practice their punching in the bar prior to punching him out. They're trying to say and trying to prove that they lured him back to the house. They've never given a good reason why they needed to lure him back there to kill him. That not one motive has been put out. Oh, because you know what? The defense doesn't have to prove a motive. Well, if you're going to try to prove that somebody else killed him and not Karen Read, you're going to actually have to provide some kind of motive. You're going to have to prove that. And so far they've come up with absolutely nothing. They're going to have to prove that seasoned law enforcement professionals are so stupid that they would lure a victim straight to their house during a party and kill him with everybody there, and then dump his body right in the front lawn of the person who killed him. They're going to have to prove that these law enforcement people are that stupid. So, in other words, in order to disprove the prosecution's theory, because the prosecution does have evidence, they do, and that's what the defense is fighting with. They're trying to prove, for example, that those marks on O'Keefe's arm are not from the vehicle, they're from a dog. They're trying to prove that. You got an expert in there that says, hey, it looks like dog bites to me. It doesn't look anything like dog bites. Hey, go on the internet, put in dog bite on arm, and click a button, and you'll see all the photos, and not one of them looks anything like his arm. But they're trying to prove that. What happened with the prosecution? They came back and said, we have an expert says there's no dog DNA on the clothing that was covering the arm that supposedly the dog ripped up and bit. So the defense is trying to disprove the prosecution's theory by trying to prove that other things are true. And so far, I think they're doing a dismal job. But they are in court to prove something. So don't go with that silly saying, oh, the defense doesn't have to prove anything. Yes, they do. They have to prove that the prosecution is incorrect in everything that they're saying, and that there's another possibility. They're trying to come up with another party who killed John O'Keefe. They're trying to come up with witnesses that can say John O'Keefe entered the house. There's all kinds of stuff they're trying to prove. So stop saying that silly statement. The defense doesn't have to prove anything. Yeah, they do. In the end, after the defense and prosecution have been through the whole trial, and each one of them has thrown out their stuff that they're trying to prove, then at the very end, the jury has to determine if the prosecution has proven their case. And part of that is whether the defense was able to prove that their case was no good. That's how things work. So the defense is there for a reason, and their purpose of being there is to prove something. And their purpose in this particular trial is to prove that Karen Read did not hit her boyfriend and drive away, and that somebody else did the dirty deed. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this. Please comment below, but please be polite. Otherwise, we'll try to block you out. Although I miss some of you guys when you come in and say what you say, because there seems to be a very strong group of people who do not want to talk civilly about this case, and it is quite a shame. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please hit the bell for notifications and click the little thing that says you like the video, and share it with other people. So maybe some other people will start understanding that the defense does have to prove something. Thank you for being here. Bye.